slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit.
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. We're gonna do something a little different today. It's been a while, so I figured I would switch it up here. It's been, I don't even recall now, a couple months for sure, I think, since the last upload. But I'm going to take advantage of one of the nicer days in September so far. It's 23 degrees and sunny, which when I get to the video here in a minute, you'll see why that won't be super beneficial, but figured I would take advantage of it anyway. And you're going to get to see a vehicle on the channel today that I don't think I've showcased at all before, but I might make a few videos in the future about it. But with that being said, we'll jump right into it and get started. So the topic of today's video, I'm going to be doing a little step-by-step how-to of how I detail my vehicles. I'm going to be doing my 2020 Ram 2500. It's something, like I said in the intro, it hasn't been showcased on the channel at all yet, but it's a Laramie 3/4 ton diesel. It's got the midnight package, midnight edition or whatever it's called. It's got a lift, tires, rims, amp steps, and it's been in car shows and stuff, so I'll show you how I do it and how I take care of it. Keep in mind it is a daily driver as well. I use it every day, 365 days a year. I hunt with it, I fish out of it, or not out of it, but with it. It sees gravel roads. It's not a pavement princess. It gets used, gets abused, which I'll show you in a minute here. But we'll get started, and I'll do a step-by-step of how I do everything. So as you can see, the truck is quite dirty. As I mentioned, it's a 2020 Ram 2500. It is a Laramie package, Cummins diesel. Obviously it's got the 68 RFE transmission in it. It's sitting on a 4-inch BDS lift. It's got XF off-road 216. They're 20x12 -44 rims with 35 12.5 R20 Toyo RTs. These are a pretty good tire, but I'll get you a little stance clip here. So you can see they stick out a fair amount there. I got the kickback flaps to try to help with that. It's illegal in Ontario. But anyway, it's quite dirty. You can see, I don't want to touch it because I don't want to rub it into the paint, but that's all loose sand stuck to it from driving down gravel roads when it's wet. All kinds of stuff under there. It's just filthy all around. There's a bunch of brake dust stuck in the front wheel. Filthy all the way back here, just completely covered. Inside notes dirty, so I figured now would be a perfect opportunity to show you how I keep it clean, or how I clean it again. And I have a pretty dirty starting point, so you'll really get to see the before and after. The first thing I usually start with when I'm gonna detail a truck is making sure it's a decent day for it. Being clear blue skies and sunny like it is today is not really ideal. If it was a little cooler, it wouldn't be so bad, but the sun, especially on the black truck, it's hard to keep it from drying the water too fast. I live out of town, I'm on well water, so I have a softener that helps a little bit, but at the end of the day you get water spots if you can't keep it, either hand dry it with a towel or keep it from drying till the end. But I'll show you all those steps throughout the process. But yeah, I usually start with the weather. If it's going to be a overcast day, preferably around 20 degrees so you're not cold, that's kind of nice temperature to start with. And then I start just by getting all my stuff together. I don't want to be halfway through something and need to go find it, or make sure I have enough of everything before I start. I don't want to run to the store or anything either halfway through cleaning the truck. So with that being said, I'll kind of show you the little process of that, and I'm going to get the stuff ready as I go here, and then we'll get into the actual steps of detailing. So obviously when you're going to detail your vehicle, car, truck, whatever, the first thing you need is water. You need access to water. I'm going to be using a 3000 psi pressure washer just hooked up to my garden hose. You don't need a pressure washer, and I'm going to kind of talk about that when I get started too. A couple different options, but you're going to need water. I have a pressure washer, so first step I just filled it up with gas. You can see there's a gas can there. Where is it? There you go. and then the pressure washer there hooked up to the water. If you're going to be using a pressure washer or a hose, I always start by just, you can see I dragged it out, the hose out all the way. There's a gun just laying down there. Drag it all out so I'm not going to be tripping over it, and it's going to be straight and it's not all coiled up or anything. That's kind of annoying. Start fighting that. So I always start by doing that. And then make sure you have everything else ready to go. All your detailing spray, whatever you're going to be using, soap, water, all that stuff. So I have that sitting over here. It's all sitting right there. I'll go into a quick little in-depth session here in a second about what I use. But most of the products, I think actually are all of the products, including even the towels and everything, I believe, are all Chemical Guys. They make a good product. I have no issues with them. You'll hear some people complain, some people don't. Some people like them, some people don't. Some people think there's other better options, Meguiar's, stuff like that, whatever. But that's what I use, and it's up to you. You can use whatever you want, but it works for me. So I'll show each one, and then I think I'm going to start with the inside today, which I normally don't do, but I want this heat to go away a little bit before I start on the outside, or I'll be fighting the drying all the time. So here's a quick little pile of some of the stuff I'm going to be using. I have just a Chemical Guys bucket. It's got the little dirt collector thing in the bottom, so if you throw your towel in there, it doesn't sit in the dirt in the bottom. And then I have just these supplies that I go through. Some of them I use, some of them I don't. I'll kind of go through and explain it. But here is the Honeydew snow foam that I use. Put it in the bucket. I also put it in this foam cannon here for the pressure washer. It's just another Chemical Guys one. I think it's like $100 or so. I think I got it on sale at Canadian Tire, but it's around $100 anyway. That's what I use. I also have another option, which I mentioned earlier. You don't need a pressure washer. Is I have this Chemical Guys foam gun. I think one's a foam cannon, one's a foam gun. I think they use different words. But anyway, there's that. It just hooks on to a garden hose attachment. Just goes in there, clips in there. You take it off, you can use this just as like a rinse without soap. So you can use either the one that goes for the pressure washer or this one. I just prefer this one because I'm running the pressure washer to rinse anyway, so there's no switching back and forth or unhooking the hose from the pressure washer. But anyway, that's what I use. You can use whatever you want. You can just use this one if you're on a budget. This one's a little cheaper. Either one works perfectly fine. This one gets a little better soap though. I'll show that in a minute. But yeah, so I use the Honeydew Snow Foam Auto Wash. There's a few different options that people make. It doesn't have to be Chemical Guys or this one. Then I use the Diablo Wheel Cleaner. This sprayer is kind of broken on me, but I use this for just cleaning the rims, or the wheels, or whatever you want to call them. And it takes all the brake dust and everything off. I think it even says that, yeah, removes brake dust fast. So I use that. Anyway, it works good for me. Here's the Silk Shine that I use on the inside lots. I use it on the vinyl, the rubber, the plastics. I don't use it on the leather seats because you probably couldn't sit on the leather seats if you tried. It makes it pretty slippery. I do have some headlight stuff after too, but I don't usually use that often. Here's the glass cleaner that I use, just a Signature Series streak-free glass cleaner from Chemical Guys. Always works good for me. Just a quick spray on and wipe it down. I got this not that long ago. I haven't tried it yet. I'll try it today though when we do the tires, just to see if it makes much of a difference. I'm not getting it ready for a show, but I will do everything that I normally do. And here's the butter wax. Here's the butter wax that I use once in a while. I don't use it every wash. I probably should, but I don't. I'm just a little lazy and I just like to do it quickly. It still takes a couple hours with a full big truck. But anyway, I use that. I use this on the wheels and tires. It's just a soft bristled little brush. It doesn't do any damage, doesn't scratch anything, as long as you keep it nice and clean and out of the dirt. I don't use this. It came with the kit anyway. This was all just one kit. And then just microfiber cloths. Keep them clean, keep them out of the dirt if you can. I'll do a quick little side on how I keep those clean too, like to wash them and dry them and everything, because some people wreck them doing that. And then going over here, I just have this other little setup, which I don't think I'm going to get into today. It's probably too hot. But there's some clean slate. I just had to get this one too. It's just another wash that you can use on the surface of the truck, like on the paint, and it strips all the wax and everything off of there from previous wax jobs you did. And then I have the clay luber spray to be used with the OG clay bar that's in that package. I've used a third of it or so. I think they recommend use a third of it, knead it all out. I might show that, or I might even just do one panel of it for now, but I'm not going to do the whole truck tonight. To clay bar it and get all this stuff out of it, because there is lots of contaminants in the paint you don't notice, and it's a night and day difference between before and after. And then after I do that, I normally just reapply the wax, and I use this applicator pad to do the waxing. You just wipe it on and then just buff it off with microfiber cloths, which once again I might do a little bit of, but probably won't get super in depth with it, just because I don't want to tackle the whole truck. I only have a couple hours here. So now that I've gone over all the supplies I use and everything, I'm gonna get started here. So I have my Chemical Guys bucket full of water with some soap in it. I have my microfiber cloths. I do have a detailing mitt, I believe. I'll show you guys in a minute too when I use it here, just as a wipe down. But my first step is I always use the pressure washer. You guys can use a garden hose, just that spray nozzle that I showed you. That comes, this one here, that just comes with some of the Chemical Guys stuff, is just fine, or any other garden hose attachment that you have. But I prefer to use the pressure washer. And then I use the widest nozzle. Just kind of lowers the pressure and works the best for me. It's a 40 degree. I have a bunch of options. There's 0, 15, 25, 40 degree. So I start with that. I use the 40 degree. And the first thing I do is a rinse. I rinse the whole truck off, top to bottom, front to back, all in the wheel arches. Try to get all the loose-ish stuff off without any wiping, because I don't want to put any swirls in the paint or anything. So I'll get that started and I'll film it, and then I'll jump to the next step. I always flip the mirrors up or extend them, depending on what kind of vehicle you have, just because you see all this stuff in behind there. I always like to get that every time too. Take a quick second to show you what I meant by the water, so you can see it drying. Is you can see now that it's been rinsed, which obviously it's still dirty, but it's got the loose stuff off. Here's where the sun is, there's the fence, there's where the shade is, right? Still dry, or still wet, which is what you want when you're washing it. There, it dried right away, and you can see all the way across where the sun hit it. And then you come to the other side, pretty wet still. So you want to try to keep it wet while you're wiping it down and washing it off until you're ready to dry it. So now that I have the truck rinsed off, just pre-rinsed, I take the Honeydew Snow Foam Auto Wash, put a little bit in your bottle for your sprayer, whether you're going to use a foam cannon or a foam gun, one with either your pressure washer or your hose. That's probably good. I don't try not to use a lot, because you can always add more after. I don't like to leave it sitting in there. And then I also have, here's that mitt the wash mitt I was talking about. Just goes over your hand. It's microfiber little tassels on it to keep it, to clean the truck and not scratch your paint. I made sure I took all the tags off my microfibers beforehand, because those could potentially leave scratches, I guess. And then I just put a little bit of soap in there with that and throw it on the ground a couple times, just so there's some soap. I don't do the 2 bucket method. I guess you could, but I just find 1 good enough, as long as you rinse it off nicely when it starts to get a little dirty. So I have a little bit of water. I add it to there, so you got soap and water in there. Just kind of mix it around a little bit so you get a nice little mixture going for the pressure washer. And then I'll start soaping up the truck and wiping it down. Always keep the bucket nice and close when I'm doing it, just so I can switch between soap on the truck, the wash mitt to wipe it down, and then rinsing it. And I just have to switch between the little 40-degree nozzle, I don't know if and the foam gun, and just keep it rinsed off. Some people, you'll watch them do the whole vehicle at a time. You can definitely do that, but doing the whole vehicle at a time, when it's, especially when it's hot like this or windy, like there's a breeze, you can see the trees, there's a breeze, it kind of gives you the chance that you're gonna dry your soap on the truck or car or whatever you're washing. So I like to do one panel at a time. So for me, like, I'll do the box and I'll just do one side of the box. Then I'll move on to the cabs. I'll do the front and back doors. I'll do the windows and everything all at the same time. Then I'll move on to the front and I'll do kind of that area and part of the hood. I do have a ladder and I also have a step stool, or I just do it sometimes from the box of the truck, but I always make sure I try to do the roof. I used to miss it all the time or do as much as you could reach from the ground, but after getting some drone shots done on my truck a while ago, you can definitely tell I did that before. So now I started doing the roof. But with that being said, I'll fire the pressure washer up, which I normally don't even shut off, and do that. And hopefully you can hear all this talking over the neighbor who decided to cut his grass right now. But I'll do the next step for the wash, and I'll come back when I'm done. Take your nice clean microfiber, and I always just start and I just go across and I dry it off. They make bigger towels for this. These are just hand towels, smaller ones, like I don't know what that is, foot by foot maybe, but they do make big drying towels, and I just take it and I just go take all the water off before the sun dries it, and it keeps down your water spots. If you have really good water, this may not be an issue, or a higher end setup, but like I said earlier, I have well water, so this is kind of required, where you spend all this time just to have a nice water spot covered truck. Now that this side's all done, washed down, dried down, I'll finish up the front, the back, the roof, and the other side, but I don't think I need to show all that. It's going to be way too much. And then we'll move on to the next step. So now the truck is completely washed down. If I was doing this for show prep, I dry it right off, let it dry anywhere, make sure all the water, like you get water underneath your door handles and stuff, let that run out if you're going to do that. Some guys, you'll see, they'll either use like a leaf blower, or they make these little like detailing blower, little blow things, and you can blow all them off, like all your trim off around your badges, underneath your mirrors and everything. Just give those a good good blow down there, give it a good blow job, I guess, and let it all dry. And then I would look over the truck pretty good, and see, like, if you've seen any spots that you missed or whatever. I'd be tempted to do it again. There's a pretty good shine, you can see a reflection there. I'd be tempted to do that step again, just to make sure you get all the dirt, loose dirt and everything off, because the next few steps, you'd want to really have it clean so you're not polishing anything into the paint. But with that being said, I'm going to do the tires and wheels and tires now. Pretty similar step. We just use a different stuff, but I'll get the camera set up and I'll show you how I do all that. Now moving on to the wheel, I'll just do the one here. I'm not going to do all four. I'll show you one, or I will do all four, but not on camera. Is I move onto the Diablo wheel cleaner that I mentioned earlier. I also don't like to use the soft microfiber mitt. You could do it, maybe even a second time, but I prefer to use the little wheel brush that they give you. It's soft plastic, so it's not going to make any marks, and then it's got these really soft little bristles. So I like to use that with the Diablo wheel cleaner, and it just cuts the brake dust right out of it, cleans it all right up nicely. So I'll do that now, and I'll show you how I do that. The spray bottle's kind of screwed up. I usually spray it on the wheels, but I think I'm gonna have to dump it on the brush. But I'll show you that step, and then I usually just rinse it off after. I wipe it all down or brush it all down, rinse it off, do all four, and then that's it for those. So I pre-wetted the wheel here. You can just see it's all rinsed down pretty good. I took the brush. I had to put some of that Diablo wheel cleaner on it, but I just get it in there, get it all soaped up nicely. I have my finger in the way there. Get it soaped up nicely, and you can see it's just soaps up. I give it a good wipe over, clean the lip off. This is a really soft brush too. I've never had it leave marks inside here at all, and I've used it multiple times, a year for the last few years. So I do that, get the center caps. When I usually do this, I take the center caps off if I was getting ready for a show or something. Do all in behind there, which I might show you on another wheel. But just get it in here. Like I said, this plastic brush doesn't make any marks or anything. I try to be careful with it, but you can only be so careful because, like I said, I daily drive this truck. It's not a SEMA show truck. Just a local show truck, I guess. But you just do in each part, and then once you're happy that you've got it all, I just throw this brush. It's kind of dirty, right? You just give it a little on the bottom of your bucket, and I just fire up the pressure washer and rinse it out, and on to the next three. So now that the whole truck's been rinsed down, wiped down, dried, tires and rims have been done, I usually just take that same brush. I always do the wheels first, just in case. I don't like having any scratches on it. But then I take this tire kicker tire shine from Chemical Guys. I'll use that same brush that I used on the wheels. I'll spray it on, and I'll show you that in a minute here. I'll spray it on the rubber, and I'll just give it a real good brush with the with that same brush that I used. But there's a few things I wanted to mention that I forgot to mention earlier about doing it. Like, you see the truck's starting to look pretty good. When in doubt, change out the microfiber cloth. If you used it for the whole entire, like I showed me using it and mentioned it before, but I don't use it on the whole truck. I use it for a panel or two, switch it out, flip it over, change it out. Even if it doesn't look dirty, I don't like dragging it down the whole truck. It'll pick up little things you don't see here and there. Next thing you know, you're making marks in your paint, which just adds to the extra steps later on. But yeah, so I try that. Same with drying it. Switch towels, wring it out, keep the water off of it, because you'll find that you'll do a few panels and it'll be completely soaked and you think you're drying it, and then you end up with a bunch of water spots. Make sure you get the soap off really good too. Soap will leave spots, obviously, on the paint. Black shows way more stuff too than other colors, like white. You could be with your eyes closed on a white vehicle and it'll barely show up unless you're right up close looking at it. Now the inside and the next few steps, I usually do inside the shop there, but it's hunting season. There's a bull moose hanging in there, so I don't have the room to get my truck in there, which is no big deal. I'll start it outside here, and I'll kind of show you a quick little walkthrough. I'm not going to show you every single square inch of the inside, but what I do, and yeah. So the next step that I would do if I was going to do the full detail, I'm running out of time, as you can see the sun's setting now, is I would take the Chemical Guys Clean Slate. There's multiple other companies out there that make the same stuff. I'd take some of this, I'd pour it in a clean, wiped out, washed out bucket with a clean towel. And I would take it, and it strips the wax and sealant of any kind that you have. If you have ceramic coating or any of that, it strips it off of the paint. So you always want to start with a clean slate like I did. I washed it all off, took all the loose stuff. Then I would do a full wash down, top to bottom, front to back with this. So then now you just have bare paint. You have no wax. You have nothing on there. And with that, then you have just bare paint. Perfect. That's where you want to be, because the next step is you take your Chemical Guys or any other kind clay luber spray. You take that and you grab yourself a clay bar. Doesn't really matter the brand. I believe they're all the same. I'm not brand loyal. I just happen to have all this stuff. Unless they want to sponsor me, but I don't think they do. So then it says, for this, you want to do your clay bar. It says directions for use: flatten clay into the palm of your hand and make a 2 by 2 inch area to be cleaned, or 2 foot by 2 foot area to be cleaned. So what you want to do is you take a third of this, knead it all out so it's nice and soft. It'll be like you're playing in kindergarten again. And you take it and you take your clay luber spray, this one here, and you pick a spot. And you want to do this really in depth. I usually do this inside with big bright lights on it from the side. And you take your clay luber spray and you just spray it on the truck if you're going to do a spot. And then now you have your little spot sprayed here. You would take your clay bar and you'd have it, like I usually just use like these 3 fingers, sometimes 4, and you just put it on there and you just go back and forth, and you'll see it slowly over time getting dirtier and dirtier. And luckily the clay is yellow, so any contaminants you can see pretty quick. And it'll slowly start to turn black as it pulls the stuff out of your paint. And you may think that your car is clean, you may think that there's nothing in your paint, but when you wipe your hand across it, it'll feel rough. Once you do your whole clay bar wash or wipe down, you'll feel the paint. It'll be the smoothest paint you've ever felt. It'll be crazy. It pulls all kinds of stuff that you can't even see stuck in the paint out of it. And that's where you want to be before you wax, because when you wax it and seal everything in, you don't want to have contaminants in your paint. So I always start with that. It's very, very time consuming, especially on a truck of this size. It takes hours. Like the first time I did it, it took me 6 or 8 hours, I believe. So you want to do the whole entire truck, car, whatever, motorbike, anything like that. Do the whole entire thing, pull all the stuff out of the paint. After that, then you move on to the butter wax that I use. Now to do the waxing, and keep in mind, I'm not a professional detailer. I don't do this for a living. But I like to use this little foam block. Like you can see, it's a squishy foam block, but it goes back to its same shape. You take that, and I got a couple of these little ones, or in a bigger one. And you take that and you'll just put little dabs on here, like in each corner, and then a couple in the middle. And I like to take that and you just kind of take it and you just kind of patch it on the spot that you're going to do. If you're going to do, say, like the box here, you just do it on a few spots. And then I always like to go side to side. You don't want to be swirling it. Same with when you're washing your paint. You don't want to swirl anything, because it'll just swirl into your paint, and then you'll have swirls and all kinds of stuff. You have to polish it and cut it and everything else after. So you just go side to side. Every time you think it's getting a little bit dry, always put a little bit more on here and just do it again. Once that's done, you do your little spot. Always, as they direct, do like a 2 by 2 square at a time. I always put it on really good, give it a few seconds, then you take a dry, clean microfiber cloth, and you really buff it off. Like you don't want it to have any of it on there, because in the sun it just bakes on. I accidentally left a few spots last time. It took forever to get it off. So you want to just really, really buff it off and have no extra. And then after that, you just want to do the whole truck, move on to the next panel, the next spot. You'll have your whole entire truck done in a day, or if you're quick, you might be quicker than that. But I think it took me about 6 hours the first time, and it started running out of daylight. That's why I recommend do it inside. Then it doesn't matter. The heat on the wax is also not great. It cures really quickly in the sun. Another reason why I recommend doing it inside, but I did it outside before. It works just fine if you are quick with it. Now we're going to shift gears a little bit and move to the inside of the truck. I always start, because I consider it the inside, but it's part of the outside, is I always do like in the door jambs, up, down, all the way around, all 4 doors or 2 doors, however many you have. Clean it out, because as you can see, there's all kinds of dirt and grime stuck in there that's not the easiest to get out. And once you do all the door jambs before you even get in the vehicle, then after that, I pull everything out of it. Like if you have stuff in the cup holder, you have money on the dash, you have little fluffy stuffed animals, take all that out, because it's just going to get in your way and you don't want to spray on it if it's important, whatever. So I'll start by doing that, and I'll take everything out. After taking everything out of the vehicle, like I mentioned, your cup holders, clean all that out. I always start before you even take the floor mats out. You can take them out carefully, but I always vacuum all this stuff out first. Like clean it all up the best you can, vacuum it out from inside the truck so you don't accidentally dump it all over the place and make yourself more of a mess later on. And it's dirty. Like I said, I use this truck all the time. It's been camping, fishing, hunting, everything in the last few weeks. And it's off-road all the time. Now that I have all the loose stuff vacuumed out of here, I'll pull the floor mats out. Sometimes they'll lock in, sometimes they'll just be sitting there depending on what you have. If you don't have rubber ones, then you can just get to the vacuuming and skip all this stuff. But with rubber floor mats, like these are Enthusiast, I believe. They also make like WeatherTech floor mats, very similar. I always like to vacuum them, then pull them out. So I'll pull them out now. It's hard to do with one hand, but I'll try to do it. There you go, it's out now. So I always just take them and lay them somewhere else, whether it's on the grass or somewhere. Take all of them out. I'll lay them out, and we'll get on to the next step after this. So now that the floor mat's out, you'll see like this stuff, grass and leaves and stuff, there's little needles, dirt everywhere. That's underneath the floor mat. You can see the floor mat was in there, it's gone now. That's underneath. There's all kinds of hair, like that's dog hair. I have a husky and a lab, they're in the truck quite often. There's all kinds of mud. I always try to clean all the bigger stuff out just by hand, like if it's pine cones, needles, everything, pull it all out. Then I get the vacuum going and I'll vacuum all of this out. I use little angled, well, I'll show you in a second here. I use little angled attachments so you can get underneath the seat and in all these little cracks. Sometimes I'll pull these plastic things off actually, which you can take like some of them off, some your car may or may not. I'll pull these off. There's some in the back I take off just to get a better clean if that's what you're after. Like I was saying, I usually use some sort of sharp, pointy type vacuum end. This is something that I like to use. It's pretty small, like in comparison to my hand. You can see fits under everything pretty good. If you use a shop vac or interior vacuum for your house, or even a special car detailing vacuum, they usually come with something like this. If not, you can usually find one that'll fit. And then once I'm done the front, which I have cleaned out and vacuumed out, I move on to the back. I usually do the front and the driver's side and passenger side first. Then I move on to the back just because it's more time consuming. Same thing, I vacuum out all the mats. You can see there's the Enthusiast ones. Vacuum out all these. I usually flip the seat up. Depending on what you have, you can lay this out. Like, see, it's a big mess. Dogs were in here, there's hunting gear, everything. Clean all that up. I brush it out, vacuum it out. Hours. It takes hours of time if you really want to get into it. Super picky, which it's up to you how much you want to put into it, but that's what I do. Same thing. I'll clean all this out, all the door jamb, wipe it all down, rinse it out. Take all the stuff out of the truck. Like I said, same thing front, back. After that, pull the mat out, and I'll show you how I clean the mats now. For doing your mats, it's pretty simple. They're usually rubber if you have rubber floor mats. If not, this is not quite the same. You just want to run a vacuum over it. But I always take this Protect Shine. It says vinyl, rubber, and plastic. New look shine, dry to the touch, no oil grease. So I take this and I just spray it on all over the mat. And I always take that same brush. I have a couple of these. I don't use the same brush, but the same kind of brush. And you just take it. I usually have these nice and wet. And I just give them a good brush down. Get in all the grooves, cracks, anything. Like, Some floor mats aren't as detailed, some are more. Just clean it all off. Once you're happy with all this, I usually take the water from the pressure washer, just give them another quick little rinse off, and then they're ready to go back in the truck. So now that you got all the floor mats clean, truck's all vacuumed out, I usually get inside. This is when I start doing like the dash, the glove box, the center console. This is when I do the windows. And I usually just get inside, sit in the seat, passenger side, driver side, sit in the back, get comfortable, because I usually get pretty in depth with it. It sucks that I couldn't show you while I was vacuuming because you can't hear anything. It's too loud, so I couldn't walk you through as I do it. But most of you guys probably know how to run a vacuum, and just keep vacuuming until it's clean and you're happy. So like I said, I get inside. Here's the glove box and the dash on the passenger side. This is what I'm going to show you. You can see there's hair up there, dog hair, dust, dirt, all kinds of stuff being down the gravel roads. Same thing. I take the Silk Shine and I just spray it on there. Everything's already cleaned out. There's nothing on the dash. Take a new clean microfiber cloth and I just give it a really good wipe down. Usually where you start, you have to do a few times till this gets a nice coating of that vinyl protect shine stuff on it. But what I like to do is I just do that. Same thing here. This stuff doesn't hurt any of the vinyl, any of the rubber. I use this same stuff on the front bumper, all the plastic stuff that's on the front bumper, the mirrors, everything. It gives it a nice shiny look. As you can see, it looks shiny, it's all new. It dries, it doesn't leave a greasy residue on it like some products do, which I'm glad about, because that sucks when that happens. And I just go through everything I do. All the plastic up here, I use the glass cleaner for that screen. I don't know what you're actually supposed to use or if they recommend that, but same thing, get in all the vents if you can. I have little brushes that I'm not going to use today, but usually you get in there, you can brush them all out real good. You can just use your finger with a microfiber cloth, works just fine too. Clean all this out, all the dust, and just wipe it all down. I usually open things like and just get in all the little lips here. There's some air fresheners in there. And just clean that all out. Close it back up, same thing in here. There's some junk in there. Clean all this off. And I just move on to, I do the door panels. I do the whole dash, steering wheel, all the plastic down there, and just work my way through. Do the center console, just give it a good little spray. Wipe it all down. Clean off any little marks. Lots of times you'll have, like, there's this little stain there from a drink or something. You just clean those off. It's gone, good as new. I always take these little plastic trays out. Like these cup holders don't have it. Lots of people have inserts in their cup holders, but there's little plastic or rubber inserts here. I always take all that stuff out, clean underneath it, clean it out, rinse it off, put it all back in. And then as you can see, like, the truck is in really good shape, really well taken care of, clean. This is how I do it all. And now we'll move on to the windows, now that you have an idea of how all that goes. The final step I usually do for cleaning the whole truck is the windows. And once again, I use Chemical Guys Signature Series glass cleaner. They're not sponsoring me. It's just what I have and it's what works. I got a deal on a whole package, or actually I think I got it for Christmas even as a gift. But it works good. I use it on the glass. I use it on the mirrors. I use it on the screen. I use it on the gauge cluster, inside and out, and it always seems to do just fine. No streaks, no nothing left over, and it always works good. So to do the windows, same thing. It's not rocket science. You just take your spray it on there nicely. I always like to use quite a bit. Some people try to cheap out and save money, but it shows after a while. And you just put it on there nicely. It's hard to tell with the tint, but you put a real good coat on there, wipe it around, make sure you get everything inside and out. So there's the inside all clean. Can't really tell, but I'll do the outside too. And then maybe you'll see that there's no streaks or nothing. So you can see there's little water spots. That's just from me missing it when I was washing it out earlier. Spray it all up good. Grab your microfiber. Make sure you get the whole thing. And then you'll see it's drying. And you can just make sure you get all the extra stuff off if you have too much concentrated. And there you go. That's sap. I'm gonna have to work on that because it was parked under the trees out camping, but you can see it's pretty clean now. That's it for the full detail of the truck. It's pretty clean. You can see it was pretty dirty before. I always wipe those down, and underneath the wheel wells with that vinyl cleaner, the plastic stuff. Lots of times I'll touch it up with the paint or with a spray can under, like not the paint on the truck, but the frame, just with a black spray paint or an undercoat. And just a few of the things to remember when you're doing it: don't do swirling motions with your microfibers or your brushes or anything. Always side to side. Make sure if you think you might have dropped your towel or it's a little dirty, always clean it, rinse it out, switch to a new one if you have the option and you have multiple. Take your time, do panel, then do the next panel, then do the one after that. Don't try to do the whole truck in 10 minutes. It'll show. You'll see that you tried that. Take your time with it. Get some good products too. Like, I'm not saying these are the best products that I use, but they are pretty good. I haven't really compared them to too many others, but I'm happy with everything. I'm running out of daylight here, unfortunately, so I'm not going to be able to, I wasn't able to show you everything step by step. But if it is something that you want to see more, I can always do the clay barring and the waxing in another video. I just wanted to try to put it all together because a few people asked me how I keep my stuff clean. Get it all in one video for you. I'm going to try to upload more stuff. I do have a couple cars to show on the channel. They're old, totally different than this kind of stuff. They're older, really old actually. And I'll do a full walk around maybe one day of this truck with all the mods and everything that are done to it. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. And if you have any questions or comments about things that you would do differently or that you do differently, throw them in the comments below. Leave a like on it if you like this, if it helped you out at all, you learned anything. And I'm always open for discussion about things that I can do better. So just let me know. But anyway, take care, guys.